I ask you to put your hands together and keep your ears open to hear the words of Magnus Melander. Magnus, welcome to Adelaide.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm flattered to be here today, and I'm proud to be here in front of you guys. I'm really glad to be here. I'm so impressed with the whole event that you put together here. And we've only spent, me and my wife, we only spent a day here so far, and we love Adelaide already. So let's see what I can share with you. My idea would be to share some of my thinking and my maybe lessons learned that would be probably appropriate for South Australia. I think this is the way it works. Yes. Please consider these two pictures. You might have seen them before. It's very relevant. This is exactly the same situation. It's a new pope is going to be declared. It's in Rome, in the Vatican, of course. And there's only 8 years between the two situations. Impressive. Think about that. 8 years. Here's another one. There's only 9 years between those two pictures. It's the same little memory card, but the difference is 10 times memory. 9 years. Consider. This is amazing. I worked 9 years for Apple, so this is goodies for me. So there's only 10 years between those two products. You know, I think the size talks by itself. You know, the iPhone is much smaller. The price is 1/3. The processing power is double. And there's about 4 times as much RAM in the product. All those examples are important. And this one is also important. This shows about how rapidly new technology reaches 25% of the people in the United States. So you can see the telephone took kind of 35 years. You see that the PC took kind of 15 years. You see the web was kind of 8 and the smartphone was 5. Immense change. And this is really what we have to think of carefully, because starting a company or starting a business takes about 10 years, give or take. So if you started your business on the first picture of the Vatican without having a clue about the second picture, you're going to be unsuccessful. If you had this view that there will be another kind of situation in 8 years from now, you might be very successful. And I think this is so important for all of us to bring with us when we start to look into what we're going to do in the future. It takes about 10 years for every company to, even internally in large companies, you start a new mission, whatever, it takes kind of 10 years. So why is this development so fast and so furious? I think there are 3 major components to this. One is that the global rise of education is immense. It's about, I think it's, I can't see from here, but I don't remember, but we are about from 10 to 30% of the people in the world has gone to universities over the last, I don't remember, 40 or 50 years. But the amount of educated people is enormous today compared to 10, 20, 30 years ago. Secondly, to the left, it's the technology development. That's Moore's law. Since 1965, basically, they have been able to put twice as many transistors on a chip every second year. Year after year after year after year. Capacity doubles, price half. Year after year after year. This has fueled the whole technical innovation or development in the world. And we are now, they claim, I don't know, they claim we are on the mouse brain level, which is quite interesting. It's not that far away that it will reach human brain levels if this continues. There are some indications that we will not be able to meet Moore's law any longer now, by the way. So our human beings might last a couple of years longer. The third graph is about connectivity. This is how many people actually have mobile phones and internet connection and so forth. We are at roughly 60–70% of the people in the world have communication that are decent today. So all of this is changed completely the landscape for us to do business in. So what is this? I keep on telling that there was a significant date somewhere, and I don't remember which year it was. I think it was 2007. It doesn't matter. When we had all technology we needed to solve the problems we want to solve. I just guess. It's probably not 2007. It's actually when the iPhone came, so I think it was significant at least. But it's very important that today we have the technology we need to solve all the problems we want to solve. We might be able, or we will be able to solve them better in the future, but we can't solve them today. I keep on telling my clients that give me a problem, a good problem, and I promise we can solve it for you. And so far I haven't failed. So this is very important because up until this point, we had to look at our technology and think, what can we use this for? What kind of problems can we develop? What kind of products can we do? After this point, we can look at the problems we have. Which are the most important problems? Which are the most important objectives we want to reach? It's a huge difference in mindset. And unfortunately, engineers that worked in the 50s and 60s, they typically don't think like this. This is also why youth is very important to what's going on today. There's a lot of things we don't know about the future. There's a lot of candidate technologies that are very interesting. I have a company in my house in Stockholm. I talk about my house later. They are doing drones. Drones is very interesting. You can do a lot of stuff with drones. They do drones for mines in Canada. Obviously, that's very important. But still, it's very small. What's going to be very big, which touches all of you and all of us, is really that we're going to experience internet one more time. And the beauty is that most of us are old enough to have experienced it once. Some of us said, well, you can't sell books if you don't have a bookstore. Some of us thought like that. And people say, oh, how could I ever figure out that this would happen? Nobody told me. And, you could actually sell books in a bookstore. Amazon is one of the biggest IT companies in the world today, starting off by selling books without a bookstore. So internet will happen again. Do you remember what happened? A brief review of what happened with the good old internet was that people connected to the internet very rapidly, you saw in 15 years or so, in order to send emails across companies. That was the big thing. Oh, my goodness, we can send an email to another company. Isn't that amazing, And also this surfing thing. The web was really curious. So we paid a little bit of money. All the consumers, they went onto the internet. All the companies went to the internet to do websites. And then, probably weeks afterwards, they started to see that, well, we can do other things, much more important things. We can, for instance, publish our price lists on the internet instead of printing paper and send them out and all that. So that's what I call operational value. That's the second phase of the internet. When we started to realize that this internet could actually help us be more productive, more efficient, more clever, in a sense, more cheap, more efficient, more faster. So that's where most of the value of internet came from, actually. And I think if you could ever calculate the value of the internet, it's probably in the magnitude of electricity when it comes to operational values. Now, then came what's called the strategic values. This is like when Amazon started to sell books without bookstores. This is when people started to do things in a completely different way. This is when you started to do things that changed your brands, that made you all of a sudden more interesting to work for. Those are the things that we call strategic values. So the strategic values, that's where you start to do new things like Google was created then. That's not too many years ago. They figured out another way of helping people to search the internet and then do all this clever marketing behind. So when it comes to Internet of Things, added also physical things to the internet, which is the second internet I'm talking about. We're going to go through exactly the same phases again. We have already done the access part when we thought we would send email. That would be the 50 billion devices some of you might have heard of, or 3 trillion devices, or whatever people talk about. The only thing they mean is it's going to be big. The access to things is not really of importance any longer. That's already gone. We passed that stage in 3 or 4 years. So we are already now entering the operational value of Internet of Things. A lot of companies around the globe is trying to improve the way they do business, utilizing connected things to the internet. That's exactly where we are today. That's exactly where you and I and my companies and your company can start to move horizontally into new markets, because it's internet we use now. This is where you can actually start to play a bigger or a different kind of role in the world. Later on, we'll see strategic values. That's, to me, all about going from product to services. This is the only way we'll be able to save the planet, if you ask me. We have to give an incentive to the producers and manufacturers of things to make sure they are as clean, as energy savvy, as whatever. You have to make them the incentive to take care of the products and reuse the material. So why is this happening now, and why is it big? I find it interesting. I made this for Ericsson 2010, actually, because all countries and companies in the world have three things on the top agenda. Sustainability. Everybody, at least they have something on the agenda. They might not do anything, but they have something on the agenda. Safety, security is a huge problem. And efficiency, as we just discussed. And none of those can be solved without connecting things to the internet. Think about it. None of those. You cannot protect your borders. We cannot keep control of emissions. We cannot keep track of water flows, or nothing without connected things. That's why it's so important. Efficiency, why is that important? Well, none of the countries I know of can actually provide a service to the people in the country that they want to. Specifically not with the aging population. We can't do, like in Sweden, we can't do the healthcare that we want to provide to people any longer because we're not efficient enough. So efficiency is really important as well. Now, then technology has become affordable, it kind of works. All the other things down there is kind of more or less taken for granted. The industry is merging, and the large customers or companies in the world, they don't know what to do, so they build alliances. Typically what happens just before the big technology takes action. This is how complicated the world is from an IoT, connected things point of view. It's a customer-driven thing. It's the baker in Milan. He wants to know, why should I connect things? Well, in order to make better bread, or make more money, or faster, happier customers. The world is full of customers and industries and segments that are going to be served by IoT. And each and every one of those are up for grabs. You can, if you're into one of those today, go there, do something great, and you can take it across the globe if you like. Because all of those industries, all of those applications will have to be taken care of. Now, it is very complicated to connect things to the internet. It's really complicated, and this is quite technical in a sense, but I want to tell you this so you just know that this is very complicated. Because basically what you have to do, first you have to collect data one way or another, and then you have to send the data somewhere and manipulate the data, or test the data, or verify the data, or combine it with other data, or deal with big data, or whatever you like. That's another thing. And then nothing has been achieved by then. You have worked for years and nothing has really come out. It's only when this small piece of data that you really need is delivered or distributed to the right place, then the value is created. So it says in your SAP system, the box is delivered, or the door is closed, or something like that. That's exactly what the deliverable of this is. Now, human beings cannot visualize all of that before they start. You cannot stand here and say, we're going to do this fantastic system. We're going to have sensors here and gateways there, and we're going to send the data there, and then we're going to do some big data, and we buy data from here and there. And then it's going to say the box is delivered. It's just impossible to get your boss to invest millions and millions in that system. This is why prototyping has become so important. Get going, put away Excel, put away PowerPoint, do prototyping. Bring in your clients, bring your employees, and go prototype. That's really the most important thing if you're going to go into the IoT world. So what can we do? Well, I'll share with you a couple of things I've done, and I'm amazed. I told my lady at the table that I find it so amazing that so many people are so good, so large companies in the world, everybody's clever, everybody's spending billions of dollars, but still you can do a lot of things yourself. South Australia and Sweden, Stockholm, I just learned is kind of the same size. So I thought it would be relevant to compare. It's about 2 million people. And I think the biggest asset maybe we are blessed with no or small domestic market. This is actually the whole secret behind Sweden. We have forests, we have things to dig out from the ground, and we have a lot of water. So that's what we have. And some clever engineers, they figured out ways to add value to those resources. And then we figured there's nobody to sell it to in Sweden, so we had to sell abroad. That is the whole reason for our wealth. Everything comes from industry, export industry. And when I go to kind of Poland and other countries that are similar, it doesn't work that way because those countries are too big. They have just kept on serving their own countries, so to speak. So Sweden was just named the second most predominant top 10, among the top 10 startup hubs in the world, which is just ridiculous. If you compare it to Silicon Valley, Beijing, Seoul, and I think there's a reason to that. This is what the guys making the list claim. It's all the things you can imagine. Engineering talent, funding, there's all those kind of things that you can imagine. Legal policies and blah, blah, blah. Probably very, very clever when you do those lists. I think it's something else. To me, this is my list. It's good quality of life. I think in order to survive properly in the new world that's coming up, you have to have a very good sound base at home. You have to have people who are happy, they are well trained, a good social situation, good education, good care systems, and so forth. I think that's really important. And I think that's very good for us in Sweden, and it's very good for you, because that's my impression that you have here as well. You have to have a solid ICT infrastructure, telecoms and so forth, internet connection, because otherwise you cannot serve the world from here. You just have to. I have no views on the infrastructure here, but in Sweden we have a good infrastructure. I think that's very important. You have to have a good support for entrepreneurs. I don't mean that you have to pour money on entrepreneurs. I think that's wrong. Entrepreneurs need customers and money from customers. That's the only thing they need. But you have to have the spirit of that we like entrepreneurs, and we like success. It's exactly what you do here. So that's a very good situation. You have to learn how to collaborate between small and big companies. Because the technology, we looked at the fast and furious development. It's impossible for a large company to be on top of everything themselves. It's just impossible any longer. So in order to be innovative, you have to be very small and very sharp and very focused on something. The problem is, if hardware is involved, you will never be able to become a big company. It takes too long time. So if both those two are true, we have to learn how to transform innovation in small companies to large companies. And that's very easily said, and it's very, very difficult to do. We need good marketing. In Sweden, we never tell that we are good at anything, so that doesn't work. The only way we can create an industry is because others think we're good. So we have to do marketing, and I think that goes for Australia as well. I think you have to do much more marketing about yourself and your capabilities and your skills. And finally, you have to, I should go back. You have to create some successes, and that's exactly what you do here. So that's very good. I think the level of the companies that you have here is great. The level of the event here is great. So I think you are on a good track to become on that list next time. This is what I have done. I created an alliance 4 or 5 years ago. I gathered the startups in the IoT space in Sweden that I found good. And I said, hey guys, I'll help you to go abroad. I'm going abroad all the time. I'm speaking at events. I just bring you. And we share cost, no funding from anybody. We just do this together. Since we are together, we only have to go 1 guy instead of 5. So we are now 65 companies. And we go to all the big events in the world together. I had 15 companies in Barcelona last week. And we market ourselves and we show our strength. That's a very easy concept for you to copy, I think. In order to give it some more muscles, I have some partners to it as well, which looks good on paper. They don't help a lot, I'll tell you, but it looks good. It's marketing. And marketing perception is reality. That's the one thing. So this is important. The second thing I've done, I've started a house in Stockholm which is focused on hardware. So we have 30 startups doing hardware in the areas of IoT, wearables, sensors, robotics, 3D printing and scanning. And I also have a handful of the biggest export companies in Sweden. ABB, Assa Abloy, Husqvarna, H&M, and so forth. And what we try to do is to work together, to figure out exactly how that transformation of innovation should work from small to large. And I'm more than happy to share that with you guys. Anyone who want to come to Stockholm, be my guest. I show you exactly what we do. Finally, I just have to show you this. This is a young female entrepreneur, one of all of those in my alliance. She just summarized what's the lessons learned for 1.5 years of being an entrepreneur from nothing. She had a great idea. I don't want anybody to steal my handbag. That was the only idea. And she started from nothing. She was not a technology person. She said, speed beats perfection. I think this is very good. So, we don't have time to plan or think too much. You can pass large companies very, very fast if you run rapidly. Hungry beats smart. If you're hungry, it's a lot of hard work. You have to make a lot of calls. You have to work very hard instead of just being clever and making great plans. Try beats comfort. You have to find the guys who are in your space, and you have to start to work with them, even if they're completely different to yourselves. Creativity beats resource. All the big guys have a lot of resource. I have nothing. Let's be creative and do something clever. And finally, focus feeds force. Focus, 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 focus. There's billions of small things you can solve if you really focus down to the right level. Ellen has just raised $64,000 now on her first crowdfunding campaign. It's great. Finally, the conclusions. So, the Internet of Everything is being built now. If you want to be part of the thing, you have to get going. Don't wait. It's all about problems that has to do with safety, sustainability, and efficiency. Then you're on the right path. All the other issues might be okay, but those are the things you should focus on. Data is the new gold. Remember, never give away your data unless you know exactly what you're doing. And remember that security and privacy are going to be very, very important moving forward. Together is the new how. Nobody can deliver this complicated solution themselves. It's going to be an ecosystem, and you've got to find your partners in an ecosystem. Invite your youngsters. They think completely different to you. When I told my son about the fantastic car solution we have, he said, oh, I thought that was possible already. That's how youngster thinks like. And then make a plan, I would say, for South Australia. You should have a common plan. Maybe you have, but you should have one to try to combine and join forces. The market is abroad. You have to go abroad, and perception is reality. You have to look like you're huge and fantastic when you go abroad. And finally, enjoy. Thank you.